All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Thank you for coming out today on a beautiful day, especially in light of what's coming this week. Heavy rains, I think, coming. So let's also have a moment of silence for those who are enduring the hurricane down in the North Carolina region of the world. Let's pray that everyone that's affected who hopefully get out safe. I know there's been a couple of deaths already, but for those who are still in peril, let's hope they get out safe. And we pray that they get their lives in order in a speedy manner. Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention for a second, please? Ladies and gentlemen, right behind you, right over here. Just want to introduce our featured guest speaker, Naomi Levin. She's running for the Congressional seat in the 10th CD against Gerald Maddox. He's been there for a very, very long time, and hopefully he'll be getting his retirement papers pretty soon. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause.
So nice to be here. I'm honored to be outside in a backyard filled with people who support me and share our vision. I'm running for Congress on the west side of Manhattan and parts of Brooklyn, including this area. And I couldn't be running in a more exciting time. My parents were immigrants from the Soviet Russia, and America was their haven. They experienced religious freedom for the first time in their lives. They experienced and took advantage of our system of upward mobility, where hard work, you can succeed. And they instilled in me a deep appreciation of our American values and freedoms. And my parents are both scientists. They are computer science, and my mom is a biochemist. And they encouraged me to study engineering. And I got a dual degree in computer science and biology. And I've been working as a leader in emerging technology in New York City. So that's my background. And I got interested in this race in 2015 when I found out that our congressman no longer represents us. He's been in office for 26 years, and in 2015, he voted for the Iran nuclear deal, which was a betrayal to, not only the people in the most Jewish district in the country, but the district of Ground Zero, where 9/11 occurred. And we've experienced terrorism. We know what terrorism is, and we know that we cannot trust the Iranian regime with nuclear weapons, and our voice was not heard. So I'm a moderate pragmatist, and I believe that we need to find practical, maintainable, and scalable solutions to problems. And I've isolated 3 key issues that I believe we should be focusing on. One is strengthening our national security. A big part of that, a priority there, should be preventing Iran from becoming a nuclear power. Our administration has been taking unprecedented steps to strengthen our position in the world with sound foreign policy decisions. Nikki Haley has been standing up to the UN. We cut funding to UNRWA, which we know has been inciting and funding terrorism. And we've withdrawn from the UN Human Rights Council, which has made a mockery of human rights. It has always singled out Israel as the greatest violator of human rights. And we have a lot of work to do. The message that our representative is sending is wrong. We appreciate what the administration has been doing, and we need to show it. We need to change the message. Just today, I found out that a man named Ari Fund, who is a jewel of America, he was an American patriot, a jewel of the Jewish people, and a jewel of Israel, was stabbed to death by a terrorist in Israel. We need to stand behind our ally, our strongest ally in the Middle East, and support them in their fight against terrorism, and make changes so that this culture of terror ends. It was a 17-year-old Palestinian, and we need to ask ourselves, what was he doing his whole life? What was he reading? Who was he meeting that led him to commit such a horrific act. So, that's another thing. Our congressman has been lukewarm with our friends in the region. He called the Jerusalem embassy move a media ploy devoid of any substance. And we need to stand firm with Israel, and I will do that. My second issue, education. The future in America is going to be in business and technology, and we need to prepare the future generation for this growing sector. Being a software engineer, I understand the importance of STEM education. We need to be expanding our STEM education programs, including those geared towards women in tech, such as myself. We also need to be directing federal funding to excellent charter school programs. We have a bunch in our district, and my opponent is under the brick of teachers' unions, and he opposes school choice. And school choice is the only system we found that can dramatically change educational outcomes for underprivileged Americans and their peers. And finally, we have an outrageous tax burden in New York. We have outrageous spending. Our spending this year is $160 billion, twice that of Florida, that has a comparable number of people. And there are things that can be done on a federal level to alleviate some of this burden, such as removing the housing rent expense from our federal income tax. Shel Farley also talks about this, our candidate for U.S. Senate, and I think that's a great idea. There are other things that can be removed, like all insurance-approved out-of-pocket healthcare costs should not be taxed as well. So those are my key issues, and we're running in an incredibly exciting election because people are seeing that, we don't want career politicians anymore. There are races all over the country that are showing us that. People are not looking for do-nothing partisan leadership. We're not looking for eternal political dynasty anymore. And this is our chance. This is a midterm election. I'm gaining a lot of support in the Jewish community, the many, many different communities, the Asian American community. I don't know if you know, but Mayor de Blasio has proposed removing admissions tests from these elite high schools, which are the tool of upward mobility for the Asian American community. Stuyvesant has 75% Asians. Jerry Nadler is a graduate of Stuyvesant High School. He's never spoken out on this issue. And it's just wrong. As a daughter of immigrants, I understand the importance of merit-based education. We shouldn't try to change what works well. We should direct our focus on the schools that are failing. How can we help them? We need to have the right mentorship programs. We can direct funding to after-school programs, have specialized courses for talented children, and there's so much to do. So the point is, I'm focusing on issues that people in the district actually care about, while my opponent is out in Washington focusing on obstruction, on resistance, on impeachment. That is his key issue. And I don't think that people are going to want to re-elect somebody who doesn't care about the things that we care about. So, we need bold leadership in New York, and I believe that I have the fresh perspective that's needed for the future of our district. And I thank you in advance for all of your support. My website is naomiforcongress.com. You can sign up to the newsletter. You can sign up to volunteer. We're actually looking for some staff coordination, and if you know anyone who may be interested to work for us, please let me know. And I thank you for being here and listening. Thank you.
Take some questions, quick questions.
Yeah. Does
Anyone
anyone have questions?
Questions for Naomi?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just got here a little bit, sorry, late. Are you a Brooklyn girl?
I'm not. So
Okay.
my parents immigrated in 1978, and they actually came to New York.
Okay.
And they had so little money that they actually walked from Columbia University on the Upper West Side to Brooklyn in order to make different appointments. So they were here for a little while and then moved to Boston. And I went to school in Boston, and a number of years ago I came back.
Okay.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Boston University. Yeah.
It took well.
Sorry?
It took well.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so.
What was that you said about the medical before? Not taxing the...
Yeah, so certain out-of-pocket medical costs that we pay, like deductibles, co-pays, some can be deducted from our income taxes, but not all of them. And those add up. That's wrong. I mean, any insurance-approved healthcare expense that's not covered by insurance should be tax deductible.
Right.
It's not the case today, and I think that would really help New Yorkers. Those medical bills really add up.
Or tax people's health insurance. Considered income should have to be one or the other. You're going to get free health care from your school teacher. Pay taxes on it. If I have to pay taxes on it.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. Do you have any political experience thus far?
I've been involved politically for the last few years. I was working on Phil Rosenthal's campaign. He ran for Congress 2 years ago. And I would say that, many politicians in Washington are lawyers. They're lawmakers. They study law. That's their background. And I think that's great for many things. But I've been trained to solve problems in my job. Every single day I'm fixing bugs and looking for ways to create better systems that are scalable and can achieve things and create paradigms for solving issues as well. So I think that my unique experience is actually very useful for policy because that's how we need to approach issues.
Well,
You go. I love hearing your background. I spent 39 years running the biomed program at a big high school here, and now I'm working in the Yeshiva High School doing the same thing.
Oh.
And I'm just curious, when you were talking about support for schools,
Yeah.
how far would you go toward providing funding for the religious schools? I don't live in your district, so I
Right.
can't vote for you, but ideologically I'm with you 100%.
Right. So the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act actually created a provision for education savings accounts where we can be putting away money to pay for education, to be used for college education. And the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act extended that to parochial schools, religious schools, primary and secondary education. And New York State is one of the few states that hasn't accepted that interpretation. So I would push for that to be accepted. That's going to go a long way. There are many things that can be done on a state and local level to help parents who have 5 or 6 children. They're sending their kids to yeshivas. That a lot of that is the role of more local governing, but I could be an advocate for that as well.
Yeah, but also help Catholic schools very strongly.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm very much against the Blaine Amendment, which discriminates against religious schools. Yeah. All right.
Question.
Anything else?
Another question?
Oh, hi.
Hi there. Nice to speak to someone who actually has a background in technology. For many decades, the Chinese have rampantly stolen American businesses, copyrights, trademarks, their technology. As a woman in technology, as a person running for Congress, and who wants to work with the president, who has done tremendous good as far as redoing or attempting to redo poorly written tariffs, poorly written trade deals. What would you do to help in regards to the intellectual and technological theft of American
Right.
businesses by the Chinese government and their businesses?
I do think that's a huge problem. We need to be addressing these issues and pushing out legislation that does. And I think the information technology space is relatively new, and we don't yet fully understand and know how to regulate it. And that's something that should be a main focus today, and I think it's becoming more of a focus. But it's a broader issue that we're going to need a lot more regulation on these things. And one of the things I advocate for is let's prepare the future generation of Americans in STEM. Let's have more people go into these fields so that we can compete, right? So we can't rely on foreign companies, and we can't rely on foreign students and foreign talent. We need to get it from our own country so that we can protect ourselves. It's important.
Thank you, Naomi.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right.
Another
okay,
question.
great.
Sorry,
Last
I got you.
question. Yeah,
Hey,
that's okay.
Where do you stand on Trump?
Yeah, so, when it comes to Trump, and this is what I tell everyone, there are certain policies that I agree with and certain policies I'm wary of. He has done tremendous work boosting our economy. Our GDP is at 4.2%. Our unemployment is at 3.9%. our stock market is at record highs because of consumer confidence. It's undeniable that these policies are, benefit our country, and we need to talk about them and talk about limited constitutional government and lowering government control of our lives and lowering our tax burden, and explain that this is the only path to prosperity. So I appreciate a lot of what has been done, and but every policy is, we can talk about separately, yeah.
You might want to consider too, everyone I know that voted for the person, and a lot of people kind of held their nose and voted for him, like most everyone I know, and we all live in a little microcosm, totally head over heels in love with the guy. People that I know that were middle of the road, never into politicians, like, I love that man. So when you get the question from the press, you might want to just stand up and say, I think he's doing a great job. Like who was the guy that we had at the Tea Party meeting a few months ago, the congressman? Donovan. And his commercials got right out there and said, I'm a Trump guy, I'm a Trump guy.
And the next day, all his signs that said Trump endorsed were taken down today. He's already spoken out yesterday and said that he does not believe in all this. He turned against Trump. He originally was a never Trumper. He was an absolute never Trumper. Right. He won that because Trump endorsed him. Right. The next day, all those signs that said Donovan, Trump endorsed, were down.
Really?
I asked him outright, where are the signs? He will not answer. He told another young man he doesn't agree with many of Trump's policies.
All right, we're going to get one more question, and we're
Alright,
done.
and I'm going to move over
Yeah.
to some burning up here.
One last question?
Naomi has another engagement
sorry?
that she has to go to.
Okay.
If we could have one more question from the audience.
I think my clothes is going to be
Well, can you describe how your district is? It comes down the west side.
Yeah.
It goes going to Brooklyn, you said?
Yeah, so it's such a strange district. It's like the longest, skinniest district, I think, that we have here. But it's,
Gerrymandering or what? Is that the word?
yeah, so it's 113th Street all the way to Battery Park City.
Wow.
That entire block,
What,
and
along the river?
The west side.
All the way on the west side?
yeah, and it's a very diverse district. And then in Brooklyn, there's Borough Park, part of Midwood,
Do you
part of
reach into
Bensonhurst.
Bensonhurst?
Yes, it does.
I used to live in
What
Midwood.
is
I'm
it,
asking for a
64th, right?
reason. I'm asking for
64th
a
and
reason.
18th, or 65th and 18th is the cutoff?
Something
or
like that. And I was
Yeah,
just
right
there
in that
today,
area.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking for a reason about your district. It's
Yeah.
a community that might be very helpful to you. Do you cover the area of Bay Parkway at Kings Highway with that intersection?
I think so.
Okay, are you familiar with a school called Magen David Yeshiva? It is
Uh-huh,
a
I've heard of
Syrian
it.
community in Brooklyn. They are very conservative, they are very pro-Trump, they are very well-to-do and Republican-oriented. And I think if you reach out to them with your pro-business approach, you might get a lot, I would say financial help as well as, political
Thank you.
support.
Thank you for that tip.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, look
Appreciate
into
it.
them, do a little research, and
All
then,
right. Great.
reach out.
Hi, Cartel. Oh, thank you.
Cottrell's
Shana
our-
Tova.
Cottrell's our vice president.
Yes, I know him.
If we could give everyone
All right.
a quick picture.
Thank you.
Someone take a photo. Take a- Yeah, it's ready. Just press the top.
Oh, there it goes.
Right?
Oh, I'm gonna go on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be more around here.
All right, go ahead, Chairman. Come on.
Marshall, I need you, and I need Lawrence in a few minutes also. Glasses off.
Take two of each.
Okay. Ready?
Smile.
Okay. Take it. I hope.
Douglas, could you do me a favor?
Get one that actually works.
Naomi, who are you running against, Nadler?
Yeah, Nadler.
Nerdler.
What?
They do it this way.
Yes, please.
I heard
Wadler.
It's so signed up.
Two things I want to make note of recent events that have caught my eye. One is, I used to be a big fan of Joe Scarborough. You might know Joe Scarborough. He's a host at MSNBC. Years ago, he was a Gingrich conservative. He came in with the Gingrich Revolution in 1994. He's a staunch conservative for many years. Since then, he met somebody named Mika Brzezinski, and he's lost his freaking mind. And now he's out saying that 9/11, Donald Trump is worse for this country than 9/11 was.
What?
That's an editorial he wrote in the New York Times, I think it was. He's completely lost it. He's become completely disgusting. I hereby denounce Joe Scarborough with all I have.
I second that.
Thank you very much. The second thing is, the Washington Post ran an editorial. This is a paper editorial, no byline on it. They actually said that Donald Trump is partially to blame for the hurricane in the Carolinas.
Yeah, well,
Now,
everybody talks
now
about
we've gone to
that.
full
And it's
stupidity. They've
So
gone to
he
full
is the God
stupidity.
Emperor Trump.
Apparently, he is the God, that's right. So I guess my point is that the far left is losing their minds. We have to try. We have to try to keep ourselves focused, stay reasonable, and try to reach out to people on the basis of reason, logic, and common sense. Okay, so I hope you all will help us with that. Who else has something to say?
What about our governor who said a while ago there's no place in New York
Oh
State
yeah,
for
that's right.
conservatives?
I hereby denounce our Governor Cuomo, who said that America's never a great place. He's full of crap. He couldn't be more disgusting.
He actually came out and said there's no place in New York State for conservatives.
He said that also. That's a couple years ago. But just a couple weeks ago, he said that America was never great. Obviously, we're dealing with people who have no idea what America is about, or even of our history, or what's right and wrong. So again, we have to stay focused and logical and reach out to people on that
Maybe
basis.
we can find a bridge to sell.
I'd like to say two things.
Bronx Bridge.
Want to come up?
Bronx Bridge. I'll keep, you don't mind, I don't want to.
Okay, everybody, Bob Graziano.
One of the things that I wanted people to know, if you watch Senator Schumer,
Please,
please.
not while I'm eating.
At the parades, he walks with a PA system, one of these mouthpieces. And when he used to first notice that he walks the Irish parades and the Italian parades, when he goes to 4th Avenue or 3rd Avenue, they have a parade for St. Patty's Day, you'll always see him with a bullhorn. There's a reason for that. When the people would come out of the bars and they would say things that were absolutely, they would make a Marine Corps drill instructor blush. The language was incredible. He would yell back with him, "Thank you, I'm glad you said that, I'll make note of that." He would drown them out.
Well, okay, but on that note, did you hear what happened recently? You know how the Democrats are trying to hide their desire to impeach Trump if they win the Congress? Well, somebody yelled at it. They're not hiding it very well. They're not hiding it very well. What's her name in California? Waters won't hide it. She's not hiding it. But the rest of them are trying to hide it. Someone yelled at Schumer at a parade, "When are you going to impeach Trump?" And he yells back, "The sooner the better." So that's more example of his BS. Okay, what else? What's the second thing?
Basically that, and I wanted to just mention Frank Sampapia, who many of you probably know, was the head of the Tea Party in Staten Island. He was the great organizer when it started in 2009. He has gone off to become, I think, the assistant to the borough president. It's like $1 a year job. He's been very successful in it. And he wrote about something that should be noted. One of the things that the communists did when Stalin was in power was you became a non-person. Your face was taken from the pictures. One day you were in the pictures with everybody, and the next day there was a void where you were standing. There is down in Texas, there is a school board that has taken Hillary Clinton out of the list of the top American women of the 20th century, and they're not teaching Hillary Clinton in the classes. And the reason,
that might be a good thing.
Now, this is what's significant about this. It sounds so simple, but the mere fact that they're doing that while she's alive is very significant, because when somebody has passed, it doesn't matter if they're in and out. But while you're still breathing and it's warm, which she's close to anyway, she has been the ultimate slap in the face, because they're not teaching Hillary Clinton anymore. So she's a non-person in Texas. We've got to watch this.
Yeah, she's a non-person, be an
Spreads across
improvement.
the country, because she was so cockeyed drunk for that election night. She chased John Podesta.
That's right. She
around.
couldn't appear.
The stories are coming out now.
Yeah, I believe it.
And with the loss of power, the stories are going to be hot and heavy. So if you like Hillary Clinton as I do, I think she's more entertaining than most of the stuff I
She's
see.
entertaining, that's
I
true.
love to reach you.
Thanks, Bob. Do you have any more report about that?
Keep an eye out for her.
Okay, I'll turn it back over to our president, and in the meantime, I'll say. Mr. Gore wants to say something. It's our Vice President, Cottrell Gore, and don't buy Nike. Don't buy Nike.
All right. In the last primary, 6 of the 8 Democrats who caucused with the Republicans lost their primaries.
Tony Avella's a good friend of mine, and he was.
Yes. And
for state senate.
and
What is this, local and?
I'm talking local, and I'm going spreading out.
State senate.
And a woman by the name of Salazar is now the Democratic candidate. And Salazar has been caught telling monumental lies about her past. You know, I mean, really outrageous. And she still beat her. And she is a socialist. And
She's
one of the,
pretending to be Jewish and she's not.
But which Salazar beat? She beat Hamilton?
huh?
Which Salazar beat?
Martin DeLabe.
Who?
Martin DeLabe, state senator out in Bushwick.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I
And
know.
also in Bronx and Queens, a socialist beat Joe Crowley. Her name is Ocrazio. And she just
That was beat by John Lou of all people.
Well, that was Tony.
John Lou won this primary?
John Lou, the former state controller, the corrupt guy.
City controller.
Yeah.
City, sorry.
Yeah, him.
He lost his primary?
He beat Tony
No,
Villa.
No,
John-
Tony Vella lost to John Lewis.
Oh, well, John Lou has lots of clout.
Yeah, but he also has a lot of corruption. He's a criminal.
I see.
That'd be yours.
And
that'd be a real damn shame.
so I am, in the words of Ron Paul, let it not be said that we did nothing. So I am basically, even though I'm a Brooklynite, I'm going all the way to Queens and the Bronx to campaign for a man named a businessman and college economics professor, Anthony Pappas, who's the Republican candidate for Congress in the 4th District. And he's going to challenge, he has already challenged Ocrazio to a televised debate. Because when she speaks, she just mouths off left-wing platitudes. And then when you ask, what does that mean? She says, well, I think I mean, you think you mean?
That's what all the yuppies want to hear.
Uh-huh.
Take a ride down Cortellia Road and look at what's out hanging out in the streets, and then realize they are the voting majority.
Right.
When you say Ocrazio, is that the real name? Or you
No.
Ocasio, but I call her Ocrazio.
All right.
Ocasio.
Oh, Cortez, yeah, from Queens.
Yeah, well, she was in the Bronx, but it's the Queens Bronx district.
Oh, all right.
But I always
I
put
don't
the,
know all about her. Yeah.
all my.
Alexandria,
Oh, and guess who endorsed Ocrazio? The Libertarian Party.
Really?
What?
The Libertarian Party has endorsed Ocrazio because they want they want her to get into office to prove how bad socialism is. Because I contacted the Libertarian Party, and Alton Yee wants her in.
Really?
Who?
Alton Yee, he's been here.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah, he's been here.
Does Alex Merced sign off on that?
Alton Yee did, but I cannot.
Alex Merced signed up on that?
Huh?
Alex Merced.
I have not gotten his position.
I doubt he would have signed up on that.
But I mean,
Just elected to vice
I'm-
chair of the Libertarian Party at large and nationwide.
yeah. Well, I am on his email list, and he has endorsed Ocrazio. So I put down reply to all, stop Ocrazio now. Only one Libertarian responded, and said she's a disaster for America. I mean, maybe Alan Yee is speaking for himself, apparently. Not maybe the official.
Speaking for himself. He's very
Not the all of the Libertarians, but only one person responded when I said stop Ocrazio now.
She's not in 100%. She's still going. Has to run against the.
She's the election's in November.
Right. Okay. She won the primary.
She won the primary against Joe Crowley.
But Crowley's still in the
Crowley is still on the ballot.
He's still on the ballot, but he's not
He's not
campaigning.
campaigning.
He's been
He's not-
endorsed by Joe Lieberman.
What is Crowley running as, an independent?
But the Working Families Party has endorsed Ocrazio, just like the Conservative Party has endorsed Pappas, even though there's a Conservative Party candidate on the ballot. There's a Conservative and a Reform Party candidate on the ballot. So, I mean,
I heard she got
Joe
a lot of
Lieberman,
Hispanic vote from
Huh?
Queens. I thought she was just Queens, and she got a lot of Hispanic vote.
she lives in the Bronx.
A little bit of Bronx outside.
District on both sides.
Yeah, isn't she up in there like Hunts Point or something?
The majority of the voters were white liberals, folks. According to election day and exit polls, most of her voters were white liberals, white college-educated liberals. Very little minorities.
That's why I said
So
the
wait,
Cortellia
Crowley got
Road
all the
primary.
Crowley
minorities?
actually did better with minorities than she did from what I saw in the exit polls. It's amazing.
But
She got the majority of the white liberals who apparently there must have been like some sort of man bun, convention down over at the voting booths. I don't know. And that's where she got hers.
But the primary only had 5% of the enrolled Democrats come out.
Right.
But she won pretty decisively. 5% came out. Now, what the other 95% will do in January remains to be seen. They may just elect Crowley in spite of himself. Frank Spaterno, who tried to mount a campaign against Ocasio, he didn't quite make it to the ballot. First he was behind Pappas, now he's behind Ocasio. He's gone behind Ocasio.
She makes a fool of herself, though, so I
Yeah.
really can't see her winning unless.
Oh, she's gonna win.
Well, she's not
She could win.
Control, what do you mean behind?
She's the Democrat, the UFT, and all the other unions
And
are
all the
backing her.
press free
She's
press she could
endorsing other
handle.
people already.
All the unions are behind.
Yeah, I think Frank Spaterno has dumped Pappas, and I think he's gone to Ocasio. Really? Yeah.
They nominate a candidate and then they dump their own candidate?
Yes, the Working Families Party has dumped their own candidate, and the Conservative Party, which I represent, has dumped our candidate also.
The Conservative Party too?
The Conservative Party has a candidate, and they dumped that candidate in favor of Pappas.
Oh.
Pappas campaigns in Conservative Party headquarters,
Okay, good.
and they have their own candidate.
But better if Libertarians went against this, but he's a conservative.
Yeah. I've been putting up all over my Facebook every chance I get. Socialism is communism for slow learners.
Exactly right.
So earn capitalistic bucks and learn socialism sucks. Thank you very much. Oh, if anyone wants to go to Bronx or Queens to help campaign Planet Literature for Pappas.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Maybe you can get in touch with me.
Okay.
our secretary, Alan Benben, do you have anything you need to?
Let's see. Right now, one of the reasons I felt a little hectic, don't mind me, folks, I was just down over at the Brooklyn, book fair. I actually had a chance, really nice gentleman I was speaking to. I won't give you his name, but I had a chance I was talking to him earlier, and we may actually be able to have him as a speaker. We're trying to work it out. So, you know what? I'm really excited. I have to just give out 3 hints, okay? He is one of the 1969 New York Mets. He is a Republican. For me, the other fun fact, Jewish. Okay? We're hoping to have him down here in the next few months, okay? For those of you who are sports fans and looking for the perfect Christmas or Hanukkah gifts, yes, he does sell items, so it's always fun to get. The next thing was in regards to the club nominations. I just brought up the piece from the Constitution, so since Lawrence Winberry had asked, just one moment while my phone just tries to get that up for us. By the way, everyone, thank you for coming out. Thank you for your good questions. To Naomi, thanks for being professional. We appreciate that. And here we go. Elections, okay. Article 7, nominations and election of officers. Section 1, candidates for BTP. Elective offices shall be members in good standing of BTP and shall be elected for a term of 1 year. An officer may succeed him or herself. The elected officers shall assume office on January 1st. Section 2, the election of officers shall be held at the November meeting. Voting of officers shall be by secret ballot and shall not be cumulative. There shall be no voting by proxy. In the event of a tie vote, another ballot must be taken. The affirmative vote of a simple majority, 50% plus 1, of members present shall be required to elect each of the officers. If there is only one nominee for an office, voting for that office may be by voice vote. Section 3. Nomination shall take place at the meeting of BTP in September, October. Yes, we are fulfilling our constitutional requirements by announcing those today. A nomination for any office in BTP can be made from the floor at the September or October meeting of BTP by any member in good standing, provided the nominee is a dues-paying member in good standing and gives his/her consent to the nomination, and there are 2 members in good standing that second the nomination from the floor. B, the call for the nomination process or elections must be called via email 14 days in advance of the meeting. A quorum of 2/3 of the executive directors and officers of the club must be in attendance for the nomination and election process. Folks, any questions in regards to the nomination process, the Constitution?
When are dues required?
Dues start up in January for those who would like it say, the December meeting, that is fine to pay a month in advance if you feel you will not be here in January. Vacation, ski trip. For some of you, you'll be too busy, trying to avoid the snowpocalypse. That's a joke. I guess not. All right, so you know what? Once we get out of this weather and it's 3 feet of snow and it's up to your hips, you'll sit around Djokovic about that.
I never complain about the winter. I can't live through the summer. I get sick from this.
I'm a New York boy. Whatever it is, it is. Listen, if it's hot, thank God it's not cold. If it's cold, thank God it's not hot. If it's raining, thank God we're not in a drought. If it's a drought, well, thank God I don't have the rain on me. I try to be positive, okay? The only thing I say on top of that is if it's a drought, maybe the liberals will accidentally die of thirst. If it's a blizzard, maybe they'll maybe they'll die in snowdrift. I mean,
No dying, no dying.
no dying.
Nobody has to
Want
die.
them to be on the earth.
Hey, I'd leave it to acts
let them
of
see-
God,
just let-
not me.
Just let them see the light. Let them see the light.
Stay in the house and forget to come out.
Yes, let them, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Line, you got that?
You wanted to say something.
Yeah.
Okay.
These these midterm elections are, of course, very important for us. But to me, one of the most important people that we have to elect is the Republican running for Attorney General of the state. What, Wolford? Is that his name?
Yes.
Wolford. And he happens to be a very good man, but the person he's running against is Letitia James, who just won the Democrat primary. She beat a few other Democrats in the primary. Well, I have a full-page ad here taken out by Letitia James. Now let me read it to you. In Trump's America, neo-Nazis, bigots, and racists are on the rise. Can you imagine the chutzpah, the nerve of this woman to link President Trump with neo-Nazis, bigots, and racists?
Yeah, but that's all they got. That's all they got. So
Well,
what else is there to say?
it's just, it's absolutely disgusting. That's why we have to try extra hard to get the Republican elected as Attorney General. And she writes at the bottom of this ad, a woman of firm conviction. She is a woman of firm conviction who fights bigotry and hatred. Well, she's the proponent of bigotry and hatred.
Maybe she's
So,
exposing it.
She's also a
It's
supporter of
Nazi woman.
BDS.
yeah,
Is she?
yes, she
Yes,
is.
she is.
So, thank you for.
Communists is-
BDS is boycott, divest, and sanction Israel.
Right.
And Martin, thank you.
She's the Nazi. She's the Nazi out there.
You want to say something?
Like a minute.
Sure, come on.
Thank you everyone for coming out and especially, supporting my girl, Naomi Levin. I just want to remind y'all that Steve Stapstein is still running for the state assembly, and all help and all contributions and volunteering is appreciated. If you guys have any more questions about either candidates, the candidates running all over the city, all over the state, and you can even talk to me about candidates running in Jersey. This year I'm going all out. People may know that I've been involved for our campaign since 2010. But this year we're kicking it in full gear, and we cannot let the Dems, we cannot let those Antifa fascist mobs win. As the great Triple H, and Triple H, I mean Hans Hermann Hoppe said, crush the anti-fascist mob. We cannot allow them to take over and rule and roll back not just what our President Trump has done, but even further push us into regressiveness, the regressiveness that has been plaguing us for the last century. We cannot let them win. We need the 21st century, the entire 21st century, to be an absolute rollback of the FDR era that has led us to the craziness of the 60s and beyond that. We need to completely repudiate them, and we cannot let them win. And I'll repeat, we cannot let them win. Thank you all for coming.
Jacob, Mr. Triple H, is that a wrestler?
That's.
I know. I said Hans Hermann Hoppe.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the Triple
Look
H.
him up. Look him up.
I was about to say, I have wrestling figures in the front for sale. For
No yard sale.
Hey, way to plug the art sale.
Oh, thank you for the lead-in.
That reminds me. You want to speak? Okay. Menachem, please come up and speak.
Okay, there's one reason why everybody is still here today and why the sun is still shining. On every dollar bill,
Oh, damn, thank you.
every dollar bill, this is the last one I've got in my wallet for today. Back of it says, "In God we trust."
Right.
In God we trust. That's the only reason why Trump is actually here. We've been saved from quite a lot of things since the days of George Washington. There's only one reason is because in God we trust. We got to focus on one thing. We can focus on the liberals, or we can focus on the agenda that we need to be pushing forward. And the agenda is, there's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It'd be well worth everybody reading it. It's a free book. You can download an ebook version of it. It's recommended by everybody who I know in the business world. The most important thing is to focus on what we want, not on what we don't want. So what we want is just, we want to be able to stay in, to keep our country free, keep it a free society, everything. I think everyone here today is doing just that, and to stay focused and to be positive.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Amen.
Anyone else would like to speak? Freestyle?
Open forum. Anybody
Open
else?
mic?
Wanna come up?
Open mic.
Open mic night.
Come on up.
I'm Tracy, by the way.
Please tell everybody your name.
Welcome.
Tell everybody your name.
My name is Tracy Bernstein. I'm here for my aunt, Millie. I'm very proud of her from what she did with her store. That's why I'm here, to support her. I love her to death, and I'm happy that I'm here for her today. God bless you, Aunt Mill. Love you.
Thank you.
Hold on. Tracy, hold on. Since we have you over here, can we get Millie up here? Because this, I think, is a good time anyways.
You gave the nice segue.
You gave the segue.
Now, small businesses are important in our community of Brooklyn and throughout New York City, and they're the lifeblood of what makes America great. And I want to thank everyone for coming out here today, and because, the Trump economy is thriving, as we could see, and there are businesses that are opening up, and jobs are coming back to America. And I just wanted to highlight a business in Brooklyn that's just opened up, MKC Novelties at 219 Avenue U.
Yes.
At 219 Avenue U, you just opened up one. In May. And you just had a nice grand opening celebration on Sunday, I believe. Or Saturday. Saturday.
Missed that one. Sorry.
What's the cross streets on that?
It's between West Fourth and West Bath.
Okay, and they just opened up. If you could come down to support her. We wanted to congratulate her on opening up a business, and it's hard. Businesses, 50%, the old statistic, I don't know if it's been updated, but it's usually 50% of all businesses fail within the first year. And we want to buck that trend. We want to make sure that businesses continue to open and thrive and make this economy great, and it is being greater and greater each and every month, as we see, with a 4.2% growth rate in the last quarter of the Trump economy. And the stock market is thriving, and we want prosperity throughout the United States to continue. So with that being said, we'd like to introduce Millie with a certificate of appreciation from the Brooklyn Tea Party from the Board of Directors.
Tracy, I wanted to get you in there also. Don't worry. Tracy's like hiding out. She's worried about the guy looking for her.
Good.
All right.
All right.
All face the camera.
Thank you so much.
Face the camera. Wait.
No, we're good. One more? Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay.
Right there, baby.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Millie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Way to go. Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank
Make that money.
Coming down.
You're welcome.
No, I'm just stepping off the
Oh.
ledge.
He's a funny man.
He does stand up and sit down. He's
He
very
does.
good sometimes.
Sure.
So, we're trying to work out in our October meeting. We're trying. There was a couple. Last couple of months, we were trying to get Shell Farley for the last two meetings. Each time it fell through. So, due to scheduling issues, if no one knows, she's running for U.S. Senate in New York State, and so we were trying to get her down. Trying to work on possibly the Attorney General candidate. We'd like to probably try to get him in October. We were reaching out to Vicky Palladino to try to get her down. So we'll see who we could get in October. We'll let everyone know when that time comes, if we could get any of them to come down. So that's what we're trying to do in October. Moving forward, we would like to highlight during the course of the upcoming weeks opportunities to work on various local political races. We have State Senator Marty Golden, which is very important to maintain that state Senate seat so the Republicans could hold control and the only last line of normalcy in this state of insanity, which is New York State that we live in. They control the Assembly, basically all the congressional seats. They control the Assembly, Governor, City Council, Attorney General, you name it, they're there. And the last line of defense is the state Senate to hold off on measures and bills and taxes that will tax us even further out of existence. So we want to make sure that line is held in the state Senate. So if you have an opportunity to please help out Marty Golden. Also, please help out Steve Saperstein, who's running for Assembly, and also other candidates. Naomi Levin. Wherever you think you have time, wherever you live in this borough, wherever you think could fit best for you, please do so. And we'll try to highlight and give you opportunities where phone numbers and how to get in touch with these people. Yes.
I was at the Labor Day parade. I'm a former UFT member. I was Madison's delegate to the union for a number of years.
I'm in the Teamsters union.
So
currently.
I had a chance to talk to Mulgrew personally. So when I was active and involved with the union, I used to get after him all the time with candidates. He'd never endorse a Republican. And at that time he told me, the union always endorses the education candidates. Steve Saperstein is a member of the UFT, special ed teacher. So I went up to him and I asked him, are you aware that there's a UFT member who was running for the state senate and the union did not endorse him, endorsed his opposition, who has nothing to do with education?
Right.
So first he said, who was it? And when I said Saperstein, he didn't know the name at first. But he asked me, did Steve go through the whole procedure in terms of the screening? And I honestly did not know if he reached out to the union for endorsement. Did he? You know?
I think he kind of vaguely brushed upon that when he was here
If
speaking.
he did, and the union rejected him, I've written a letter to the union paper about this, but I didn't want to send it until I know it's factually correct.
Right. See if you, well, you're not on
I have his
Facebook.
phone number at home. I tried calling twice. I must have gotten his wife. She told me he'll call back, and he never did.
All right, probably,
Does he have a campaign office, physical office?
you probably would know more.
Well, we are piggybacking off Marty Golden's office. So if you
Which
show up
one?
at Marty
Where-
Golden,
which one?
the campaign office on 3rd Avenue. So if you get there, there is going to be a representative from the Steve Stapleton campaign that will fill you in with everything
Yeah,
you
well, I
need.
know his other office, 3rd Avenue and what street, roughly? Because
Hold
that's
on.
like Sunset
But
Park.
he's going
I was never actually there. I helped
Yeah,
that
because
coalition of fundraising.
if I'm driving in that area, I'll try to park and walk
Right.
in, but I,
So hold on, let me just text Thomas Bryce, see what you should definitely
or
know.
if he's
Yeah,
right
Tom
off the
Bryce
Fourth
would know
Avenue
that.
subway, I
So
can-
he's going
What
to
doesn't
text.
he know?
Yeah, he's very good. He knows statistics from
7616.
He knows statistics from colonial times.
7615 3rd Avenue. Steve.
7615. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
7615 3rd Avenue.
What cross street is that? This
No,
is-
76th Street.
76th Street. Just go on 3rd Avenue, you'll see
76th Street. Well, I don't-
76.
76th Street, okay. I don't know that area. What's it, Sunset Park? or
Bay
is that
Ridge.
called
Bay Ridge.
Okay.
Bay Ridge.
can't
All right.
park there, so I don't go.
I know, I can't park anywhere in Brooklyn. Yes.
Who ended up winning the, remember the guy that came here, Michael?
Michael Grimm and Dan Donovan. He won the primary. And
You wanted Donovan, right?
I wanted whoever would have been.
You wanted
I
Donovan?
was supporting both.
I just
Whoever
heard
wins
Grimm, I
wins.
like what
We
he said.
support.
They
That's all
both
that
came
was.
to the Tea Party. That's what matters.
Right.
What happened to Grimm after we?
I don't know. No, I'm sure he's around.
The Democrat's name is Max.
I'm sure he'll be around.
And
I'm
I
sure
went to
he'll
his
have a
campaign
voice.
headquarters. Somebody impressive.
Anyone else have anything you would like to? Yeah.
So is anybody here accused
A what?
QAnon?
No. What is that?
Oh God.
No. What is that? I'm sorry.
Google it.
Okay.
It's an online Trump supporting conspiracy.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
If you have the time to go, down a very trippy rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well.
Nah, I got better things to do.
Okay. I just wanted to know if anybody did.
No, that's well. Thank you. Always feel free to
Sorry.
say whatever you
Didn't mean
like.
to make light of whatever you said.
I have a gopher hole, I
No
think,
mean
over
for
there.
disrespect.
But I don't think it's a rabbit hole.
I was just speaking to him.
Yes.
He was saying something about the Democratic.
I went to.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my statue over there. I thought you were pointing
talk
to
to him
it.
later.
I thought I was going to talk back to
I
you for
went
a
to.
second.
I
Go
was
ahead.
out near Fort Hamilton. I saw the Max Rose campaign. Of course, I took a liberty of going in and serving the rules. Surveillance, they say in the military, surveillance, and it seems somewhat.
Reconnaissance mission.
Yeah,
You
reconnaissance.
You didn't meet him though.
No, he wasn't there. I met his staff, and they were talking about his issues. He wants to be on the transportation. He wants to be on a transportation infrastructure, a rather obscure committee. But he says this obscure committee would mean a lot to people of Staten Island. It takes them so long to get to work in Manhattan. I once got a lift from Philadelphia to Staten Island, and I had to go myself from Staten Island to Brooklyn. It took me 2 hours to get from Philadelphia to Staten Island. It took me 2 hours to get off Staten Island into Brooklyn, because their buses meander so slowly. It's a small place and so hard to get around.
Because
You have to drive on Staten Island.
New York State loves the old institution. They like old money.
Well-
they don't like anything to change. They want the way things
Well,
are.
they throw tables and chairs in front of everything you go, right? Now, wherever you go is a pedestrian mall. You can't drive
The
anywhere,
streets
right?
are possible.
It's
Have
a
you
speed
seen
bump
what they
here.
did to Kings Highway with one lane in each direction?
Oh, God.
Well,
Let me
this
get
is
started.
Schumer's wife. Everybody's got to know where it came from.
No, this is not Schumer. This is that crazy transportation commissioner.
Yeah, that was
who
her.
used
She
to
was the
be
one
the
that
head
said-
of a bicycle commission.
She was the one that signed it into law.
Yeah.
It's wine truck.
Rottenberg.
So, anyone else have any other points you wanted to bring up?
I'm going to the beach.
You going to the beach? Wear sunscreen. Make sure you do that.
You got that long.
You got a motion to close it?
Trump's in the truck.
We have a motion to close the meeting. Anyone second? Seconded by Bob Graziano. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out today.